Hi, everyone. How's everyone doing? I haven't been here in a little bit of time. I've been very behind on a lot of my projects, so I've been trying my best to catch up, catch up, catch up. Welcome back to my channel, and those of you who are new, welcome, welcome. I'm Mary Esther Miranda Gilbert. I am a nutritional physiologist, holistic nutritional healing specialist, and I've been researching and preparing, compiling nutritional healing protocols for clients, students, and audiences in my readerships for 47 years. I almost said thousands of years. I don't know why. Maybe I'm an old soul. But anyway, welcome back. Now, I'm going to be covering a couple of things out of my newsletter, the True Health Mastery Institute of Holistic Personal Health Management's newsletter called the True Health Journal newsletter. So those of you who are members, welcome back. And of course, you found this current issue that I'll be covering tonight with the general public out there. You'll find the full version of this issue. So what I'm going to do, I've been in the habit now of just preparing a little bit of a preamble or a publishing editor's note, in the newsletter that I've been reading out to the audience. Sometimes I just feel like I need to sit down and write something more creative, heartfelt, something that's coming out of my spirit rather than just sticking to the science all the time. As much as I really love diving into the scientific literature, because that's where the true information is to help everyone manage their health and truly master their health, find out how their body works, how everything happens at the microcellular level, the submolecular, subatomic, subquantum energy levels. It's so fascinating. Our bodies are amazing biological terrain. 39 trillion cells actively performing thousands and thousands of biochemical and biological processes just to keep us alive. So our cells are constantly working to keep you healthy as much as possible. So our job, of course, is to provide the body with all of the nutrients that are known, to provide the body what it needs to function, because nutrients is the only thing that will help you stay healthy, recover from any health issue, and continue to live a long and vibrantly healthy life. So I want everyone to have the knowledge that I've acquired over these 47 years, and I'm constantly learning. I'm never going to stop learning, never going to stop researching. So I want to pass on this amazing knowledge to everyone out there. So if you like what you hear so far, let me just boldly say, please like, share, and subscribe, and tap that notification bell so you don't miss a thing. Okay, so, all right, so I'm just going to go ahead and read you a little bit from my publishing editor's note in the newsletter. So the other day, as I was sitting in a local cafe in town, I was finishing up this issue. It seems overwhelming that so many suffer from unnecessary poor health. We are the true health news. We are the ones that are making the change we wish to see in the world. It is up to us to make a difference in the human condition, one choice at a time. Not our government, not our outdated educational system, not our drug industry, not our own well-meaning family and friends who may get their health information from misinformation, disinformation, propaganda online, and listening to some so-called self-proclaimed expert on television, from all these ads that you see that we're bombarded with. So now more than ever, it's so very critical to gain the legitimate scientific knowledge, peer-reviewed world scientific studies that are done around the world that are needed to counter the thousands of ways, and there's no exaggeration, as you probably know, thousands of ways humanity has for generations and to this day been exposed to the harmful things that impact our health and our lives. Thankfully, we know that the best way to let this go further is to empower yourselves, your loved ones, your clients, your patients, your associates and coworkers with the knowledge based on the hard work, Scientists and their peer-reviewed studies the world over continue to provide us. So this is not something that's static. New studies are coming out all the time. And every time I research something, which I do many, many days out of the month, many, many hours of the day, I see new studies coming out within recent years, 2025, 2024, 2026. So the scientists are busy at work trying to provide humanity the information that we need to stay healthy, to stay truly healthy, and to provide our bodies the tremendous capacity to heal itself. Science has known for decades that the undeniable truth about preventing and reversing all manner of unhealthy conditions labeled as disease is actually a matter of nutrient deficiencies and the absorption of toxic pollutants at every turn. We're exposed to thousands and thousands of pollutants every single day. Our bodies are amazing. The body's able to deal with it as long as you're completely and correctly, biologically correctly nourished. As more truth about the reasons behind the poisonings of human beings and animals in our beloved plant kingdom on this beautiful, mysterious planet and degradation of human health gets exposed to the population, we come to realize that there are very sinister underlying reasons for this. Many recognize this as a war on our very DNA. Some even agree that this is a war on humanity's very spirit. From where I sit, this appears to be true, and it has appeared to be true for many, many decades. Now, more than ever, I have had just about enough of this, as you probably have too. Saying no to all that harms us as a collective mind and consumer force can drive the behavior of entire industries and is therefore the single most critical thing we can accomplish together, as well as individually. Our daily choices, as we mindfully go about our days, are changing the world. The knowledge I share is fundamental to not just human survival, but for you and your influential reach to thrive in optimal health vibrancy. A healthy people cannot be manipulated. For in this higher plane of existence, of optimal health vibrancy, we alter reality where evilness dies. Evilness cannot exist in this higher plane of health vibrancy. You see it for what it is, and you say no. Staying strong of body, mind, and spirit is our human legacy. As much as humanity has suffered at the hands of tyranny, oppression, and deceit, we are still here. In our long history, we have fought the battles against evilness, and yet we endure. As long as we stand for what we believe in, together we are a force with which to be reckoned. Currently, we observe the world in chaos. Know that the law of thermodynamics principle states that the universe balances underlying patterns towards self-organization. In other words, there will be peace as a result of the chaos to which we are bearing witness in this exciting time to be alive, as truths are pouring out and people are finally witnessing the truth about who we are and what our purpose is here on earth. So I encourage everyone to practice optimal health vibrancy techniques according to all the research that I've been sharing with everyone for years, and just put it into practice and see how you can discover your higher health frequency, your higher health legacy, your potential, and see what comes of it. Exciting things are coming once you raise your energy vibration at the microcell energetic frequency level. Physics, look it up. All right. So here's to you, dear ones, the real heroes. God bless you. All right. So now I'd like to show you a little bit about what I have found on some recent news item that maybe some people are worried about. And it's a little bit after the fact, but by the time I get the newsletter out, I hear the news and I just, research the science aspects of it, and I produce the documents so that people can get the real information. Alrighty, so let me go ahead and share my screen. Okay, so I'm going to be talking about the parasite that was found in lettuce recently, the Cyclospora, and this is the scientific name, Cyclospora cayetanensis. So on July 17th, 2026, Taylor Farms de Mexico announced that they were removing all iceberg lettuce sourced from central Mexico and the U.S. market. The recall included the market side brand products, iceberg salad, and shredded lettuce sold through Walmart with, quote, best if used by, end quote, dates of July 18th to August 3rd for both products. The shredded iceberg product was distributed on June 29th through July 16th in the following states: Alabama, Arkansas, Connecticut, Florida, Georgia, Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Kentucky. I'm getting a phone call across the room. I'm sorry if you can hear that. Kentucky, Louisiana, and Montana, Maryland, Michigan, and I think that was Montana. MA, I don't recall at this second what MA is, but I will in a little while probably. But sorry, MA. Missouri, North Carolina, New Hampshire, New Jersey, Ohio, Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, Texas, Tennessee, Virginia, and Wisconsin. All right, so a complete list of other recalled products distributed to food service customers is included in the recall notice. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that because those of you who don't subscribe to the letter, you won't be able to click on that. So this is a U.S. Food and Drug Administration recall alert, and it tells you a little bit about, more about the company and the action taken, just description of the products. So yeah, this was issued by the government, and so the advice is to just discard it immediately so you don't have very serious disruption in your digestive system. People are complaining of explosive disruptions in their digestive system. Okay, so anyway, you can read a little bit about that. Let me get back to my document here. So what is the Cyclospora exactly? It's a highly resilient, single-celled, microscopic protozoan parasite with a robust cell wall infecting the small intestine, and the illness is known as cyclosporiasis. Common antimicrobial chemical sanitizers, standard food washes, such as vinegar or chlorine, cannot destroy or reliably eliminate it. So the parasite spreads through drinking contaminated water or eating foods that carry it. And the fecal oral route, when food or water comes into contact with an infected stool. When water or soil used to irrigate or wash crops becomes contaminated with human waste. Being infected directly from another person is very rare, since the parasite needs days or weeks outside the body to mature into an infectious oocyst. Okay, so common symptoms are watery diarrhea, which can be frequent or severe, stomach cramps, bloating, gas, nausea, loss of appetite, rapid weight loss, and fatigue. And that usually means losing too much water weight too fast, which means you're losing your electrolytes. And people who are prone to other health conditions may, it's been known to be lethal if you lose too many electrolytes. Any athlete would know that, especially a distance athlete would tell you that. Severe dehydration, loss of critical electrolytes, loss of fluid volume in the body. Vomiting does not typically occur. Low-grade fever, body aches, or mild flu-like symptoms are less common. All right, as you can see, I did all the in-text citations of the scientific research data that's available in this newsletter. Prevention of the Cyclospora parasitic invasion includes wash all your fruits and vegetables under running water, although rinsing cannot completely eliminate this resistant parasite. Cooking at 158 degrees Fahrenheit. 70 degrees centigrade or above reliably destroys the parasite. Avoid drinking untreated or contaminated surface water. So here are some diagnostics and tests that are done. Since standard microscopic parasite exams, such as the routine O and P, ova and parasite tests, do not find this tiny parasite, medical providers can order a specialized stool test, a GRA intestinal PCR panel, or molecular testing, which is the most accurate and sensitive method that detects the parasite's DNA in the stool sample. Also, laboratories are specialized chemical stains, such as modified acid-fast stains or UV fluorescence microscopy, in order for the parasite's eggs or oocysts to be visible, as shown below. All right, so I'm going to enlarge this a little bit for you. So as you can see, is the one that's stained the red and purple here. That is the little monster. All right, since Cyclospora cayetanensis shed intermittently, their spores may not show up in every bowel movement. Therefore, one may need to submit 3 or more separate stool samples collected over several days for an accurate diagnosis. That's a bummer. Having to do that for several days, very inconvenient, isn't it? So here's some herbs that are shown to have anti-parasitic effects. Now, more scientific research is needed that would target the Cyclospora, but these little organisms have similar physiologies and biochemistries, so they're probably going to react the same. I don't know that. All you can do is try, but please do not use these botanicals without checking with your doctor. They have more drastic measures to help you, get rid of the parasite right away. Sometimes the botanicals, the powerful phytochemical complexes, work pretty fast, but the research is still up in the air about that. So there's some research, but to me, not enough. So heck, do both. What better way to, cover all bases than to just try these, right? So sweet wormwood, the chemical compound in that plant is artemisinin, right? I was right the first time. So it's a highly researched compound against the microbe Plasmodium protozoa known to cause malaria. Other laboratory reviews also show efficacy against other intestinal worms. So sweet wormwood has been tested, and I really have abbreviated here. You'd have to look at the scientific research, which I cite here, to really dive deep, do a deep dive in what the scientists have found and how they went about their laboratory tests and their experiments just to, conclude this. So many times they're just in vitro tests, laboratory, petri dishes to see if these compounds will destroy the living microorganisms in their experimental, environment. But other times they have used animals, which of course we hate, but very few human studies other than just the empirical data, personal use and personal testimonials, personal results reported, throughout. But we have to make sure that the science matches what indigenous healers have known for thousands of years. And also, I think it's important to just to take seriously people's personal results. There's some science that needs to be done there, right? But heck, who can argue with results? So I've had many clients who have had problems like this, and I applied botanicals that would I just introduced the botanicals and they tried them and it worked, So I'm not a medical doctor, but I am reporting the science and I am reporting the results of 47 years of clients' success. So there's a gap there that needs to be bridged, and often it is, but many times it is not yet. Alrighty, so the scientific world is very aware of what needs to be done. In fact, when I research these things, the scientists in their very reports say that more studies need to be done because they have very promising results, and that's pretty confidential, you can be pretty confident that that these botanicals are working if the scientists can confirm as safely as they can without getting in trouble. So yeah, there's also that element of, okay, just say it out loud, it's okay, but there are entities in this world that don't allow that. So I'm pretty sure a lot of you out there have figured that out by now. But like I said earlier in the introduction, we're still here and we endure, so we are going to just say no to something that doesn't work and say yes and nourish that industry that produces the plants and the supplements and things like that match the science and, at varying degrees and still get the results people need and want. All right, so garlic. It contains allicin and sulfur compounds. So sulfur is a very important, it's on the periodic table, but it's not considered a mineral, but still it's present in every single one of our 39 trillion cells, and it's utilized constantly to create the right molecules so that the body's immune system can go to work and do its detoxification and destroying of invasive illness-causing microorganisms in the body. So for garlic, our famous garlic, multiple experimental models show the effectiveness for reducing gastrointestinal protozoa and nematode loads. All right, so now, again, I'm summarizing so grossly here because in my book, Potent Superfoods for Lifelong True Health, I show extensive lists of what these botanicals do in the body based on the extensive scientific research from around the world on these botanicals. But right now we're focusing on, parasites that cause terrible illness in us and threaten our health. So this is what I'm covering tonight. All right, so thyme. It contains thymol, and that's shown to inhibit egg hatching, reduce the larval movement, and paralyze adult parasitic nematodes. Oregano, it has carvacrol and thymol. In vitro studies, laboratory studies, demonstrate toxicity toward diverse strains of protozoan and helminthic parasites. All right, so there's so many variations on the types of parasites. Black walnut has a compound called juglone, shown to have anti-helminthic properties against intestinal worms. So why not use these herbs in your meals, right? I like to sprinkle them or chop them up in my salads, throw them in my soups and stews at the last minute, because you don't want to cook them to death. You still want them active and their compounds active to do their work. Black walnut, and you can get supplements for black walnut, and sweet wormwood also you can get supplements for. All of these you can get supplements from, but when you can use the whole food, all the much better, because not only do they have the compounds that I list here, they have a huge array of different compounds that are so beneficial for every body system. Our bodies love these phytochemical compounds from the plant kingdom. All right, and again, it's all in my book, Potent Superfoods for Lifelong True Health, and I will definitely have these posted in the description below. All right, so most current data reflect in vitro laboratory studies or veterinary animal trials, like I mentioned earlier. More large-scale clinical trials are needed, human clinical trials are needed to confirm what alternative medicine practitioners throughout the world have known for generations. And now the scientists did confirm this. They always confirm this. They always give so much credit to indigenous healers from around the world, So now, plant phytochemicals versus standard medical treatment for Cyclospora cayetanensis, the antimicrobial botanical phytochemicals that may work better than drugs. And of course, the scientists always use the word may, a very safe word to use. rather than making medical claims. Scientists are probably told not to make medical claims themselves, even though they're the ones who are doing all the research and producing the factual data so that the pharmaceutical industry can borrow from, right? So, of course, they like their own synthetic variations sometimes, but that's another story, right? So, the standard medical treatment for Cyclospora cayetanensis is trimethor. Now, I can't pronounce drugs names very well. I have to really look at them slowly. Trimethoprim sulfamethoxazole, TMP SMX for short. However, considering its risky side effects, it cannot be taken by those with sulfa allergies. Not so with the plant kingdom. 99.9% of the time, they are perfectly safe if you use them in whole plant form and not individual extracts from the plants. You've got to use the whole plant. There's a synergy there that works together, and that's there for a reason. Researchers are exploring alternative options from plant phytochemicals preliminarily in experimental laboratory models. So this is just a summarization of what the group of scientists that worked under Haji Luka in 2020 said. Okay, so here are some plant phytochemicals that I'm also extrapolating on. Curcumin is from turmeric. Please don't say turmeric. That's the incorrect pronunciation. It's tur. Notice T-U-R, muric. Turmeric. Okay. It's a pet peeve. Same thing with nuclear. That's not a word. Nuclear is the word. There's so many words out there that people mispronounce. And I noticed that the urban dictionaries are just starting to put them in there and saying, yeah, this is just a variation on this other word that was the original word. But I don't know. I'm a stickler for pronouncing and spelling and all these things. I guess I have to be in the kind of work I'm in. So I guess that's why I'm suited for this kind of meticulous research that I do. So anyhow, curcumin is a notable experimental animal study found that nano-formulated curcumin outperformed TMP SMX standard antibiotics when tested on Cyclospora infected mice. Okay, so now science is really delving into the nano world, the nanoparticle world, right? And they're finding that a lot of times nanoparticulates are highly absorbable, so they're able to have the body receive nutrients or drugs more rapidly and more thoroughly. So I don't know if that's a good thing or not. The jury and the science actually is still out on that. They're still just researching this. So be careful out there when you're considering anything that's nano-formulated. Okay, so nevertheless, curcumin has historically and traditionally been very effective for getting rid of various parasites. And of course, I don't think that you should isolate any one of these plant compounds because there are so many plant compounds, like as I've said, in all of these different botanicals that work in synergy and are even more potent and effective. Okay, so let's see, where was I? All right, so researchers found that curcumin interfered with the cellular replication of protozoa and its potential to disrupt the severe gut inflammation the parasite caused. So, it gets right in there and it just destroys them. Doesn't that make you smile? I don't know. Call me weird, but I find that very satisfying. All right, so berberine, it's found in the plant golden seal, barberry, and philodendron bark. Berberine is frequently studied for its broad-spectrum protozoan-specific activity. Although it is not yet clinically proven to kill Cyclospora in humans, it has long been used for intestinal parasites and dysentery. Notice how the scientists word, I mean, of course, I'm paraphrasing, but they're very careful with their words. Even though they say it's not yet clinically proven, I mean, they're showing a lot of different compounds are destroying the Cyclospora in laboratories and in animal studies and a handful of human studies. And in the scientific world, it warrants more study just to really bring that home, to really prove that or strongly indicate that these compounds work for a specific purpose and a specific microbe, right? So So, they say it's not yet clinically proven. Right, we need more clinical studies so that they can continue to reaffirm that these compounds are working, right? People who purchase these products, they know they work, right? They go back to their doctors and their doctors say, great, the antibiotics are working. Well, I'm actually taking this compound, this botanical also, and it makes them stop and think because they don't have this training. They're becoming more and more aware that these plant compounds are very, very seriously, they should be taken seriously. I don't know why there's a gap between what the scientists are discovering and what the medical field is ignoring or keeping their doctors in the dark about it, right? So we've got to bridge that gap. We as consumers, we as researchers, true health seekers, are going to continue to say it out loud. Here's the science, these are my results. Come on, medical industry, catch up, right? All right, so berberine contains the antimicrobial phytoactive compounds, plant active compounds, such as phenolics and flavonoids, demonstrated to alter gut microbiota, which is the good bacteria in the intestine, the lower intestine, or the gut, by promoting the population of beneficial species such as Bacteroides and Bifidobacterium, which suppress inflammatory species. So that good bacteria, that nice aerobic loving bacteria that talks to our brain, sends signals to the brain and other body systems, these bacteria in the gut are so important. And eating the right plants in our plant kingdom is going to definitely feed and promote the activities of these very beneficial and very critical bacteria. So they overcome. The immune system is directed to come and destroy, these illness-causing microbes, which could be bacteria that makes you sick, or the viruses, or the fungi and the parasites, right? So this is a good thing. Now, myrrh. All right, so it has the sesquiterpenes and Phytonutrients 1-3-diene. These are, I kind of reversed that, didn't I? I should have put the sesquiterpenes first and the myrrh in parentheses. But anyway, these compounds are in myrrh, among other compounds. Traditional therapy studies show that the broad anti-parasitic and anti-protozoal actions of myrrh phytochemicals are considered when synthetic drugs are unable to conquer drug-resistant strains. So enter the powerful plant kingdom, ladies and gentlemen, where drugs, the illness-causing microbes figure out how to get around the antibiotics. They figured out how to survive or thrive in spite of the presence of these antibiotics. That's a very dangerous thing. And that's been known for years. This is nothing new. But all along, these wonderful plant compounds are such massive molecules, and they serve so many different purposes. The immune system loves it because it can formulate and direct, among the other body systems, how to create the antibodies or the kinds of mobilized immune cells and immune activities to easily overcome, disable, these illness-causing microbes. So studies show that the active compounds in myrrh, such as oleoresin, cause parasite cell structural damage. It just takes the outer surface out, creating destructive fluid-filled sacs or vacuoles in the parasite tissue, as well as damaging surface spines and ridges that parasites use to anchor and survive. So they've got these spikes and they dare to anchor onto our, intestinal tissues, and they thrive there and they keep multiplying, and antibiotics apparently hasn't worked very successfully to get rid of those. So in come those phytochemical complexes, and it tells the immune system what to do, and everything comes together to destroy these little monsters. Now, carvacrol and allicin from oregano and garlic, respectively, these and other compounds in oregano and garlic have been shown to have strong antimicrobial effects, having been studied since the early 20th century and used in Ayurvedic and traditional Chinese medicines for 5,000 years. Scientists are currently exploring stabilized analogs and nanotechnology to improve the absorption and utilization of carvacrol and allicin. So, the scientific world likes to take things apart. Let's study this particular phytochemical complex in this one plant and see what it does. Okay. If you were to eat oregano and garlic, you're getting a huge array of other phytochemical complexes besides the carvacrol and the allicin. So that's why I'm always advocating is to use the whole plant, the whole food, and why limit yourself to just buying carvacrol and allicin supplements? All right, they might be effective, but think how much more effective with these other antimicrobial, antioxidants, anti-inflammatory plant compounds do. My book explains that very thoroughly as far as what these compounds do in all the body systems. They aid the immune system, the hormonal system. They improve the communications of the brain and nervous system and get that information out to all body systems. So these plant compounds do so much. All right, so garlic's effectiveness against parasitic infections has shown a substantial anti-parasitic activity both in vitro and in vivo studies, so in the laboratory and in live subjects. Actions include interfering with parasite metabolism and blocking metabolic enzyme functions. All right, so there's good enzymes, bad enzymes. Parasites have enzymes. Our own bodies generate enzymes. Our raw foods contain enzymes. So these little proteins, they do so many things in the body. So, it's not the enzymes that are battling, it's the responses, the immune responses to what's causing the problem in the first place. So, like I said, there's inflammatory enzyme reactions, and then there's digestive and breaking nutrients down and distributing nutrients and continuing the function of our trillions of cells. So there's good enzymes and bad enzymes. So specific studies, however, are needed to actually show that carvacrol and oregano and garlic can specifically destroy the Cyclospora parasite inside a human host. All right, so now we're getting somewhere, right? The majority of alternative Cyclospora treatments are currently limited to in vitro, nanoparticle experiments, and or mouse models. All right, so, and that's a start. I'm sure scientists are very, very eager to continue on with this course of study. So I'm going to go back to the first page of this newsletter here. All right, so this new newsletter also contains an article about the anti-cancer properties of magnolia vine fruit. And also, as you can see in the contents here, there's a lot of information, but toward the end, I like to insert various types of recipes for you members out there. So what I have here is a very special recipe that will not only kill any, illness-causing microbe in your system, but it will also maintain the good bacteria in your gut. As you can see here, it's called the gut protective anti-parasitic, antibacterial, antiviral, antifungi, super potent drink recipe. I always like, my titles have a mouthful of words, but I've got to get that idea in there. I try to summarize, as much as I can, but it's difficult for me to do that. This way you get the whole idea of what is in this drink and other things that I write about. But anyway, this is something that I wanted to share with all of you. So I do encourage people to please consider becoming a member of the True Health Mastery Institute of Holistic Personal Health Management, where I put out so much very, very critical health management information that can be life-saving. I don't mess around, I do seriously dive into the scientific literature, and I pull out what the scientists have found. No propaganda, no, hidden agendas. This is real science. And so it's very important to know the difference between pseudoscience or in-house scientists that are hired by corporations to emphasize a certain outcome for their products. I mean, that's just it's in dishonest and unethical. So I love the scientific world because they are looking at the causes and effects, and they're implementing the standardized methodologies that have been respected and renowned all over the world. These same types of research methodologies are used by scientists all over the world. So it's the best that we have right now, other than thousands of years of indigenous healers passing on from generation to generation this wonderful healing knowledge and documenting it too. The Chinese have this Materia Medica, thick book that they still maintain to this day, even though their medicine system is 5,000 years old. Same with other cultures, thousands of year old wisdom that have been meticulously documented and are used, applied in their population. All right, so is there anything else I wanted to show you? I usually like to go to my website just to show people who have not been there. Let me go there. No. Sorry, need to look at my own keyboard here. All right, here we go. All right, so okay, so these are the books that I have written so far. I have another cancer book on the way. I'm researching and trying to put out as soon as I can. I don't rush through when I write my books. I write I'm very diligent and very, very meticulous, very tenacious when it comes to gathering the data for the books that I write. And my nutritional synergy course and book, you can buy the course or the book or both. This is my own system that I devised many years ago and started applying it for my clients. And it's the most thorough way to get nourished so that your body receives the full range of known essential nutrients so that your cells can function properly. And that means correcting your cell functions means you're correcting your organ, your system functioning. So it begins at the cellular level. You've got to nourish them correctly and completely. Your body is looking for a huge array of nutrients with which to maintain itself and optimize its functioning. In other words, optimizing your health. So also my Potent Superfoods book for Lifelong True Health. It's a very thick volume, and I'm going to be working on the volume 2, which is going to be even thicker probably. But this book contains 109 botanicals, very thoroughly researched, so that you can really be surprised as to what these botanicals actually do in the body. They're amazing. I wrote a book for weight loss, but I based it on my experience as a weight training bodybuilder back in the 80s, and I've been training with weights ever since, and it's kept me young and strong, and other modes of exercising so that you stay flexible and you have the endurance and strong heart, strong lungs. So you put it all together in this holistic approach to fitness, and you automatically just lose the weight. Losing fat is not as hard as you think. There are many complications when it comes to righting and balancing your hormonal system so that your body does give up the fat, but that can be done through my system, through these books that I'm introducing to you. True Health Mastery is a primer. It's the first book I ever wrote, actually, about 15 years ago. And it'll take you through what the whole idea of holistic nutrition, holistic fitness, and holistic wellness is all about. A little bit about the history and problems that have arisen from the supplements industry that tried to launch the truth many, many decades ago, but it has endured as we have. And so the supplements industry has triumphed and is doing very, very well, as you know. The last book on the right there was written for a friend of mine. He asked me, how do I recommend supplements to my clients? So I wrote a booklet. It's about 100 pages. And I just said, this is, what you need to look for in supplements and what you can do to recommend for your clients. So that's what I have so far as the books I'm writing. Now, right now I'm researching and compiling a book on cancer and all of the botanicals that the scientific world has found that have destroyed many, many types of cancers. So I go over the different cancers and the phytochemical complexes that are in those botanicals that the scientists have studied. And so I can't wait to finish it, but I can't rush it. I'm still working on it in spite of the newsletter I'm putting out and in spite of other ways that I teach. So that's pretty much what I wanted to show you. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel, because the more people that like it and share it, then the more people are going to be exposed to it and to have the benefit of learning the truth about how to manage your health and avoid the disease process. That's what we should be focusing on right now. Once you get your body to be optimally healthy, it takes a while. It took a while for your health to degenerate, and it's going to take a while to rebuild those 39 trillion cells, but stay on it, stay with it, and you'll just keep getting better and better. And you'll actually make your cells, your trillions of cells in your body function like a younger person would, right? All right, so I want everyone to feel optimally healthy. It's just a higher plane of existence, and it opens up a world of possibilities as to what's possible for you in your life, and you don't have to shove this information down anyone's throats. All you need to do is be the best possible version of yourselves, and the rest will take care of itself. People will wonder what you're doing, that you look so amazing, and they're going to want to emulate you, and you become, the leader and the mentor automatically without having to do a thing. You can share what you've learned, with the enthusiasm that you're bound to have once you start improving your health. So I just want to wish you all a very, very happy day, evening, or night, wherever you are in the world. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being here. And again, like, share, subscribe. Let's get the word out. Thanks so much. Bye, everybody. See you later.